recording it.
Oh, you're recording it?
Yeah.
Because we're going to present.
We're going to present.
You're going to present me talking?
Yeah.
No, you have to talk.
No.
You're going to interview me and then you repeat what I'm saying.
No, we have to show you.
You have to show me just saying whatever?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do that?
I don't care. It's just...
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go. I can cut it out.
Okay. Who introduced you to Anabaptism?
My parents.
Okay. So your parents were Mennonite?
Yeah. My whole family for like generations has been Mennonite.
Okay. When were you baptized to become a Mennonite?
When I was 14.
So you chose to be baptized? Yeah. What intrigued you to become a member of the Mennonite community?
Did you come up with these questions? What intrigued me?
Like, what made you decide to eventually become baptized?
I think two things with part of the thing with Mennonite or Anabaptism is adult believers, right? Adult baptism, they're adult choice, and you're choosing to be part of the church, or you're choosing what you believe as opposed to sort of growing up into it and sort of not really having a choice. So actually being able to make that choice. Another big piece of Anabaptism is peace and justice. So thinking about things that Jesus taught, like social justice, like taking care of the poor, and making sure that everybody has equal opportunity. I mean, all of the things that we think about in terms of equity are really important to the Anabaptist or Mennonite faith, and so that was also a big piece.
Do you ever go to church?
Mm-hmm.
Where's your church?
Pasadena Mennonite Church. We meet over on Altadena Drive by Victory Park.
What restrictions do you have in your daily life that come from being a Mennonite, if there is any?
What restrictions?
Like
I can't stand on my head, or...
No, like I know Miss Power, she doesn't have a TV and like electronic things. Is that part of it?
No.
No?
I mean, that's not really... The thing about Mennonite is that it's very... it's not like Catholic in terms of, like, there's not a pope that says, here's the rules, and then sort of it filters down and everybody sort of has to follow the rules. So all of the rules or all of the interpretations are done at the church or the congregational level. And so there's not really any rules that are like, oh, you can't have a TV, or you can't do this, you can't do that. So probably her choice to not have a TV is her choice in terms of this is how she wants to live out her life. That is in line with how she believes, right? So I have a TV and I have a DVD player and TiVo and I mean, so and Netflix and all of that stuff. It's not really that there's rules. That one of the sort of historically one of the precepts or one of the sort of traditions of Mennonite is simple, is like living simply. So like a lot of the old Mennonites or the conservative Mennonites, they have like buggies. They don't use electricity, and they don't use cars, so they only can drive around if they have a horse-drawn something, right? And they can't have any shiny stuff on them. Like if they buy clothes with like silver buttons, they paint them black. Because there's not, or if they buy like some of them can have cars, but if they have a car that has a chrome bumper, they'll paint it black because chrome is too shiny. So there's like all different levels of like why people are doing that, and a lot of the old Mennonites do that just as a way to set themselves apart, so that they can say all of that stuff is fancy and we don't need the fancy stuff. We use the car to transport, but we don't need the fancy car. And so they say one way to sort of show that is to cover up the chrome because that's the fancy part, right? So one of the ideas is that however you're living, if you're living simply, right, you're not living beyond your means, you're not spending more than you make, you're sort of living responsibly, comfortably, but responsibly as well, then you're really doing what Jesus taught. Because he taught, Jesus a lot of times said, sell everything you have and give everything to the poor. That nobody really does that. So, some of the old Mennonites do. They don't own any property. They have all communal property. And so we think, so how do you do that in LA, right? Can I sell my house and give all the money to the poor? Well, where would I live, or how would that work? So one of the things that we do is we try to live simply. I don't own 4 cars, right? I try to live ecologically. I have a small house, or I have solar panels in my house, so I choose to do that kind of stuff, where I drive a scooter instead of a big SUV, because I can get 70 miles per gallon instead of 20. 10 or 5 or whatever, right? So just making like individual small level decisions like that help keep my sort of standard of living reasonable. And so everybody sort of chooses their own way to do that.
Do you celebrate any holy days or
Like Christmas and Easter?
Yeah.
Christmas and, I mean, it's not any different than Catholicism in terms of it's still Christian, right? And it's just one of the Protestant religions. So it's like in the Middle Ages, right? When Luther reformed from the Catholics, he said, "Oh, you guys are teaching Mass in Latin, and nobody understands you, and we have all these priests." So he reformed, and so they developed sort of this whole Protestant religion, but they still believe in Jesus, they still believe in God. I mean, all of that's the same. And Anabaptists did the same thing. They said, "Luther, you did some really good things, but you still are baptizing babies, and they have no choice. So we're going to go one more step and say we're going to let our people have the choice of whether to be. But we still believe in Jesus, we still believe in the Bible. So, I mean, all of the fundamental is the same." So, I mean, largely, if you think about sort of theology, Mennonites have probably a lot more in common with Catholics theologically than they do with some of the Protestant religions, some of the like Methodist or Presbyterian. So theologically, it's very similar to other religions, other than sort of we emphasize more Jesus' teaching versus Paul's teaching, or more of there's peace and justice, or simple living, or community. Versus some of the other things that other people emphasize.
Do you receive Eucharist?
So Catholic Church, like Eucharist is a sacrament, right? It's like a holy, and marriage is a sacrament. So Catholic Church has these sacraments. We don't have sacraments in the Mennonite Church. So we take communion, but it's not transubstantiation. It's more of a, here's something that's happening on earth to remind us that we live together as a community. It's not, I'm doing this and suddenly this is becoming holy and this is suddenly becoming sort of a God thing. It's more of a horizontal sort of me and the community members thing. So it becomes more of a way to develop community with people that you're taking communion with than trying to figure out a relationship vertically with God.
Is your wife a Mennonite?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any kids?
We do not.
I think that's all.